I know. Man, if the world, I think it's fun to watch. Like, I like when people focus on a player, like a person, a lot sometimes, especially an athlete, because I'm one of those people that believe that you're just chosen. Some people are just chosen. Like some people, there's tons of good athletes, tons of good, like prime example, right? So I will be in California next Thursday for over a month. So from August 4th to July 4th to August 13th, I will be in California on a sabbatical with my sons, and we'll be traveling. And I try to do some reading. I got some books I'm going to listen to on Audible, but I thought I want to take two books, two actually hardcover books, just to keep up the old reading, right? And so the first book I'm taking is this one. This is called The Lost Sermons of Charles Spurgeon. The reason why I'm going to take this is because he's considered the Prince of Preachers. I'm just curious, sometimes as a pastor, and maybe this is just me, sometimes as a pastor it's hard to listen to other teaching because I just don't feel like it. I just, you teach a lot, you labor a lot. Every once in a while there may be a pastor or two that I'm like, oh, okay, I want to hear this one. This one is tough, or he's a good preacher. I like the way he communicates or whatever. But you just get in the zone, and you're just like, I don't feel like listening to any sermons. So it can be hard to grow sometimes, right? You want to hear how other people deliver. So I thought I'm gonna do that. Now here's the reality. In the grand scope of redemptive history, there's no way that Charles Spurgeon was the only good preacher, right? But to be called the Prince of Preachers is a pretty big deal. I mean, this guy's sermons in 1862 to 1863 were selling. He sold 1 million sermons. At one point, I think he sold 1,000 sermons or books in like an hour. Like he was just it was a phenomenal dude. One reason why I like him because he's a chubby dude, so I relate to that. All that, you know what I'm saying? All that chubby dudes unite, man. I feel like I'm the Black Spurgeon, chubby dude. Let's get it. But I think but he was chosen. Sometimes people are chosen. Let's just be clear. I don't know if you watch basketball or whatever. There are people that are chosen. Doesn't matter. Doesn't mean they got to be the best. It's just they're the chosen one right now. Caitlin Clark is the chosen one right now. She's the chosen one. I don't care what anybody says. That doesn't mean you're the best one. There's no way that Charles Spurgeon was the best preacher. No, but he was the chosen one. At that time, the Lord used his sermons to go and to have impact. I mean, Martin Luther started the Reformation in 1517. Luther hated the Jews. I mean, I forgot the name of that book, something about the Jews. He wanted them to be, he was a crazy dude. You would think, like, why would the Lord let that? But for whatever reason, Martin Luther was chosen to be the Reformation. And then John Calvin and so forth. Different people. Chosen. Caitlin Clark is chosen. And you can get all that. That doesn't mean she's the best. There are some ballers. I kid you not. A lot of people are offended at her. She gets a lot of people talking about her, right? She gets a lot of people don't like her for different reasons, which is odd to me because Caitlin Clark has never, to my knowledge, she's never said anything like, well, they better be glad that the people are watching ratings because of me. Or they better be glad that I'm the one the reason why we got charter flights. People are mocking her as if she's boasting and saying it. That's actually, Angel Reese says that stuff more than Caitlin Clark. She doesn't say anything. She's always like, well, it's good for women's sports and all that. Maybe in private she says these things, right? But she's the chosen one. She's it. She's the talk. YouTube channels are growing because of Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark rhetoric. I might for the rest of the summer just talk about Caitlin Clark just to get my views up and then get back to no, I'm not doing that. But I appreciate every once in a while, I'll give her credit. She is, in many ways, not because she's the best, but because she's the most exciting, she's the household name. She's making people like myself and others excited. Like they play at 10 o'clock tonight against Seattle Storm in Seattle. I can't wait. I'll be sitting right there. I'm finishing an album. I'm working on an album with the worship leader of my church, my man JP. We got an album called The Assassination. As a group, we're called JFK. Crazy, one of the craziest albums I've ever done. You guys are going to love this project because it's different than my typical Kirk Kennedy. This is a JFK album. Jonathan featuring Kennedy, but really it means Jesus for King. but it's going to drop in end of July. Crazy album. I'll be working on songs, watching the game at 10 o'clock. I can't wait. I get excited to watch them play. She's doing that to a lot of people. And by default, more people are watching other people who deserve to be watched play. Some of these women are ballers. I mean, they're just ballers. They're just ballers. In ways that, I mean, sometimes the WNBA games, we mock them because we just haven't cared about them for a while, right? But in recent times, some of those games are more exciting than the NBA. Like the NBA Finals, I remember watching Indiana Fever games while the NBA Finals was on, and watching the NBA Finals when the Fever game was at commercial or at halftime. I just wasn't in it. Just wasn't there with it. So she's a phenom. She's a chosen. Doesn't matter. I've watched every one of her. There's only one game I couldn't watch because they tried to make you sign up for some. I was like, man, I'm not signing up. Man, I already paid money to the WNBA on YouTube. That's $50 a month or something, just to watch this girl play. And now, by default, I've watched other people play, and like they're ballers. So there's only missed one of her games. I've watched every game that you were allowed to watch, that you could see. Watched every one of them. And usually watched the whole game. Except when they were getting really smacked by the New York Liberty at like third game of the season, something like that. I've watched enough of her. I watch people talk about Caitlin Clark. I watch YouTube channels being built talking about this woman. And I firmly believe after watching her, let's be clear, the reason why people watch her, I thought it was so funny when people were trying to say pretty privilege. I don't think people watch Caitlin Clark because they think she's pretty. I'm sure her boyfriend does. I don't think most people think that way. They watch her because they call her the female Steph Curry. She's phenomenal. And not just because she hits threes. Sabrina Ionescu and a bunch of other women. I've watched games where women in the games have hit more threes than Caitlin Clark. But it's the way she hits her threes, the depth. They're going to nickname her the logo. They're going to call her Caitlin the Logo Clark. I get you. I'm better. CLC. Caitlin Logo Clark. She's going to get that nickname. If she doesn't get it yet, remember where you heard it first. All right? She's making people watch basketball, and the ratings are going up, all of it. It's good for women's sports. I think women have been shamed. I think on some level, women expect equal treatment, and in some sports, you're just not. When you have men competing in that same sport, they're just going to be able to do things that women can't do, and that's just how it is what it is. You know, it just is what it is. But she's a chosen one. She's a chosen one. I've watched enough of her games to be able to make this statement that if Caitlin Clark does one thing, there's a lot of things she can improve in, but there's one thing. If she does this one thing, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. I think if she does this one thing, Caitlin Clark is going to be... The only thing that's going to stop Caitlin Clark is Jesus himself. He's going to have to play defense on Caitlin Clark. If she does one thing, and it's not hit the weights, that would be cool, sweet. But no one wants to see it. No one wants her to get all buff and say, hey, what are you doing? You know. There's one thing that if Caitlin Clark does this one thing, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. And I hope she does this. There's one thing. Keep in mind that she is the female Steph Curry. That's why people watch her. If you haven't seen her play, man, she can hit threes deep. And again, she's not the only one that hits threes, but it's the way she hits them. But there's one thing that Caitlin Clark does not have that's clear. I've seen it only twice in all the games I've seen her play. Only twice have I seen that this is there. She does not have this because she didn't need it in Iowa. In Iowa, everything was about Caitlin Clark. Give the ball to her. Give the ball to her. She would, she dropped 41 in the Final Four last year, right? She was the shoot. She was the main one. And she was the best player on the team. Everything funneled through her, right? So she didn't need to have this one thing, but she does now. She needs it now because the WNBA, they're women that are vicious, tough. They ballers, dogs, right? DAWG, like dog. It's a term like they go hard, they play downhill. It doesn't mean they're not attractive, in case you didn't know that. One thing, and because she's a female Steph Curry, we're going to look at a few moments of Steph Curry highlights so you can see this. It's one thing. If Caitlin Clark Caitlin, I know you're watching. I know you like my videos. I don't think you're a believer yet, but you're considering it and you're watching my videos. The only two things I've ever said that are truer than what I'm about to say is that Jesus is Lord and you must believe in him to be saved. And if you do believe in Jesus, it'll be the best decision you've ever made. The only things truer than those two things I'm about to say is what I'm about to say to you right now. This one thing is going to be over. It's going to be over for her. It's going to be over. So we're going to watch these Steph Curry highlights a few minutes, and then you're going to see what I mean. And then I'm going to tell you what I'm saying. All right? Here we go. Let's watch Steph Curry in these highlights. The guy who's going to narrate it, I would narrate it differently, but who am I? He has a bigger channel than me. So let's go. All right? If she does this one thing, it is a wrap. The WNBA is going to have to bow down to this woman. I'm telling you. At least for a little while. At least for a little while. All right. Let's watch this.
19. Steph hit him with the deadliest crossover in NBA history. Damn! Chris didn't stand a chance. But to be honest, no one does. Because in Steph's 18th best play, he proved he's unstoppable.
Off the rim, Curry has time. 3 seconds. Curry from half court.
She can do that, though. Caitlin Clark can shoot that. That's not what I'm talking about. She can do that.
All the way from the logo. Ridiculous. But what's even crazier is number 17, the longest three-point shot Steph has ever made.
Green weaving, trying to get the shot up. No call that way. Curry flips it the other way. He got it!
62 feet at the buzzer. But that's just what you expect from Steph. What you never expect is his 16th best play.
Williams to send the three-point play. Clay knocked it away. Iguodala push ahead. Curry a right-hand spike.
Ooh, you just clap, Kyle.
No, she doesn't need to dunk. That's not it. Let's keep watching for a couple seconds, and I'll tell you the one thing she needs to do. Because she's the female him, right? The one thing she needs to do. All right, let's watch.
Lowry's cheeks. But Kyle ain't alone, cause at number 15, Steph made a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. This little bitch.
This is game 1, Western Conference semifinals. As Curry does his magic.
Sorry for the language. It is what it is. Not my video.
Outside of his comfort level. Right before he had Steph Curry.
This man Rudy was spinning like a ballerina. Embarrassing. But anyways, for Steph's 14th best play, we got something special. A shot that earned Curry the respect of an NBA legend.
Really lights it up. And Price is 3 for 4. I don't think anybody's at 50%. Whoa! From the other county, and Kobe slaps him on the behind and gives him a smile and says, "That's good shoot, kid."
Now that's respect, baby. Ooh! But players don't always show Steph love. Cause in number 13, the entire Thunder team tried to jump the man.
Second half. Oh, it's getting physical. It's getting physical. My goodness.
Yeah, and Steph wasn't having it. So on the very next play, he got his revenge.
Look at this. Look at this. Wow. We know who won that from. Oh, that big fella. Oh, that's how you get a team back right there. Putting that ball in the basket.
Cold-blooded. Steph
Last
ain't afraid
play.
of anyone, dog. That's why in his 12th best play, he went one-on-one with Kevin Durant and sauced his ass up.
From the field, Curry putting moves on Durant to the double. Able to beat Durant. Steph Curry around Kevin Durant off the dribble.
I don't know what you would say. I don't know what you would say. But if Caitlin Clark does one thing, it's over. If she gets a handle, it's done. It's done. If you watch any Indiana Fever games, as soon as she crosses half court, she does one of 3 things. One, the worst thing she does is she picks up her dribble and looks for a pass. Picks it up right away, throws it up top, and sometimes to Aaliyah Boston or Nalissa Smith or someone who doesn't always know how to shoot or who's not going to give the ball back. Like a Kelsey Mitchell. Kelsey Mitchell is a my player. She's basically, when you play 2K, you create a player. She's just going to shoot a lot. She shoots way more than Caitlin Clark, and I don't think she should. But that's a different conversation. She picks the ball up, throws it away, and she effectively loses her dribble. Second thing she does is she goes straight to the basket. Like she'll just try to go downhill and maybe pretend like she's going to shoot a three and then pull back and then go downhill. And then she'll get a dish like that. She gets a lot of her assists that way, right? Or the third thing, which is a good thing she does, she gets across half court. She's looking for the assist already, and she's throwing it to someone that hopefully scores, right? Only twice have I seen Caitlin Clark demonstrate a handle, all right? One recently in a game where she was dribbling. She threw it behind her back and stepped back and popped a three. Tough. Straight Steph Curry. Another time, she came to the top. She went to her left because when you're right-handed, you shoot off the left. You guys probably don't know this because I'm fat, but I used to play semi-pro basketball. I played in the semi-pro basketball league. When I was in high school, I broke Isaiah Thomas's assist record at 5-star basketball camp. I was a baller. I played up until for a while, and then I just became a pastor, and I sat down and counseled people most of the time, and I got on the floor and I played with my kids, and then I just got fat over the years. So I can still ball. Don't let this fool you. I'm quick, but I'm not like I used to be, right? I used to play ball, so I know these things. I played point guard. I was a point guard. I played point guard. I know the position well. I know how I watch point guards, study the best point guards in NBA history. So I wanted to go D1 and all this stuff. That's a different story. I just want you to know that. This is why I like talking about Caitlin Clark. I'm not just finding something to talk about. I played ball and still appreciate good ball. All right. Having said that, the other move Caitlin Clark did is a move I used to do. She came to the top of the key. She goes to her left because when you're right-handed, you want to shoot on the left side because your left hand holds the ball and then your right hand comes and gives it that push, right? She went left and she did what we used to call a hands up. Now they call it a hezzy, the hesitation dribble. We used to call it, when it first came out, it was called hands up because what you did was you crossed over and you put your hands up like you were going to shoot, but the ball was spinning in between your hands. You didn't pick the ball up, so it would otherwise be a double dribble. And when the player jumped, you crossed over, went underneath them, right? It was called a hands up. Now they call it the hezzy, where you come down, like you're going to shoot, right? She did the hezzy, the girl bit, and she crossed over and then drove the layup. Apart from that, Caitlin Clark looks like she's scared to try to go past someone because at Iowa, she never had to do it. At Iowa, she was the Don Corleone. She was the Griselda Blanco of basketball, college basketball, female basketball. She was it. She could just come down. You were just afraid of her. She was the boogeyman in college. You know, some teams stood up to her, obviously LSU and UConn and the big names, but for the most schools, this girl was the boogeyman. She was the Baba Yaga, the John Wick of women's sports. She was killing them, right? She didn't need it then. Now, these women, everyone's coming after her. And you can say whatever you want. There are people, someone recently said, I love you. I don't agree with you mostly what you say about women's sports, but I like that you like it. Thank you for that. I don't really care if you agree with what I say. I still believe what I believe. But I think a lot of people don't want to have Caitlin Clark drop 30 or 40 on them. They don't want it. So she gets pressure that I don't see in any other athletes get. She does. She comes across half court and they're right on her. They sometimes they pick her up full court because they think if they give her enough space, she's going to knock that thing down. That's actually respect for her. They have respect for her range that they try to pick her up all the time, right? I don't see her. She comes down and she understands that pressure. She picks the ball up right away and tries to look to throw it to someone, right? And if she gets a handle like Steph Curry, if she gets the courage to come down, right, and come down and be like, go left, and then bring that joint back right and step back, oh my gosh, because she has the range. She doesn't have that. She can't get past people very well. So she tries to like lean going downhill with her right hand and then try to throw up a scoop or something, right? If she gets a handle, if they work with her in the offseason, if she studies Steph Curry film, she doesn't need to study how to shoot. She's, as Stephen A. Smith would say, she's box office from there. What she does not have is a handle, and you need a handle. These girls are putting... If she learns how to cross over and shake people and she gets that confidence, I mean, think about this. Steph Curry, when he came to the league, he did not have a handle. He was a spot-up three-point shooter, right? And he was good. He could make them. And what happens is when you can make three-point shots, you put the defense on their heels. You got to make the defense play honest. They can't just sit back. You know, some players, you know, they don't shoot threes. If you're guarding Draymond Green, right? You're not going to guard him at the three-point line. You're going to stand there. If he makes one, all right. You know, a broken clock is right twice a day, right? You're not going to guard him because he doesn't make threes. But when you can make threes, you're a threat. So now they have to guard you. So you can dribble, do a lot of hezzies like you're going to shoot, and then when they react, boom, you go past them, shoot. Listen, Nostradamus, I think, may have predicted this. If Caitlin Clark gets a handle, if she studies, if she dribbles in the off and works on her pat, because she can already shoot. And she can't just shoot. She's like, I'm shooting. You know what I'm saying? Like, she knows she can hit them joints. She doesn't need to learn that. She's a dog when it comes to that. But when it could watch tonight, I guarantee you, watch the game tonight, and then hit me and tell me what you think. Watch the game tonight. Watch how many times she picks the ball up as soon as she crosses half court and she doesn't know how to, or tries to go down. No. Wait till she comes down the court and is looking for it. Boom, boom. Calls out to play the offense. She don't even want to pick. Steph Curry that gets picks, but when he's on the dribble, he don't need to pick. She comes down, goes to her left real hard, snatches that joint back. Boom. Or she snatches it back. She does it intentionally, snaps it back so the defender can pick it up, just so they think she's going to shoot, and they react to it, and she crosses over again. Oh, my gosh. I'm telling you, you can put her in the weight room, that'll make her stronger when she's getting bumped. Cool. Fine. Do that. There's a lot of women in the WNBA that don't look cut up and strong, though. No. She can work on her quickness. Yep. These women are better. Yep. But that'll just make her quicker. But if she's a point guard, if she gets a handle, pobrecito, to the WNBA, it's a wrap. They're going to really hate her then, because now you can't guard her. You're going to have to, and if you double team her, she can pass to other people. I think it's that if she gets that, it's a wrap. Mark my words. When that happens, you're going to say, man, we were watching this live stream that Kirk Kennedy did, Pastor Kirk did, and he said it. She gets a handle. That's it, bro. That's it. That's all she needs. That's all she needs right now. She just needs a handle and really a dribble. Most of them plays that Steph Curry gets now, because they're already afraid he's going to shoot, so now he can play around with the dribble. He can and then now because of the dribble, because of the three, he can go past you because you're worried about the three. You can pump fake, go past you, or he brings it back to the 3-point line, and he'd be stringing people around. He worked on his hand. That's what made him. Yes, he could shoot threes, but you got to get open. Once you can shoot threes, people are going to pick you up at half court. So how do you shoot a three when they're guarding you closely at half court or full court? You got to know how to shake them. Steph Curry has a handle. He's confident to use it. I promise you. That's all she needs. She gets a pat. She gets a handle. She practices them drills. You know, when I was coming up, we used to do stuff like this. We would take like a band, like a headband like this, or like a bandana, right? We would take this joint and we would put it over our eyes, and then we would go outside. Now I can see through this, so this doesn't work, right? This is what Cedric Ceballos did in the dunk contest when he put the blindfold on and he dunked blindfolded. I can see through this, right? But what we would do is we would do this when you couldn't see, or we just close our eyes and we would just dribble. That's all we would do. I would just work on dribbling. You lose the ball a lot at first, but then you start getting a feel for how to dribble so that you can control the ball. It was incredible. You start getting a feel, this is how you got to dribble to control the ball. This is what I'm about to teach my son, my youngest. He's going to 8th grade this year. I'm getting ready. We about to drill out. We're getting the drill. We're going on back. So I will be in California from July 4th to August 13th. Next Thursday, we're going west, right? We're going to be there. That's going to be crazy. And pray for me because of that. Because I don't know if you live in California. If you do, then you don't probably know this. But if you don't and you visit, you know this. California is just expensive, man. Like when we went there 6 years ago, stayed there for a month. I feel like I owe In-N-Out. I still owe In-N-Out Burger like $20K. Like that joint is a cool. You can go to California and be in debt for a cool $1 million, fam. It's just crazy. Like I'm a little nervous about that because my boys are older. They're all teenagers now. At least my youngest is 12. He'll be a teenager on August 4th. I'll have 3 teenagers, and they're not fat, but they eat like they are. They eat like they are. They eat like they trying to catch up to me. And I'm like, son, don't do that. They eat like they are. They eat fat. They not fat. They eat. I'm only saying it because I'm fat. Don't hit me like you're body shaming. I'm myself. So knock it off. I'm having fun talking about my kids. You know how people be all in their feelings and stuff. Well, I tell you what, there's a lot of Ralph Tresvant around there. You need a man with sensitivity. We're just having some fun, right? When you're fat, you can make fun of being fat. But my kids, it's expensive, man. California, so all for them super chats, them joints, be saving them. All right. Caitlin Clark, if she gets a handle, that's a wrap. That's all she needs. Let's go to the tape. Day Kurt, have you heard about the rapper Julio Fulio? I have not heard of Julio Fulio. I have not. But I feel like this is called Golio Trolio. That's what I think. I've heard of Trolio, but no, I never heard of him. I hope he's dope. Black Spurgeon. That's it, baby. That's it. Black Spurgeon. I love Spurgeon. Yeah, good dude. I like Reese because she plays for Chicago Sky. Right, and you know, that's cool. That's your town. That's your town. Oh, you from KC though. You must like the Bulls or something. Angel Reese just needs to focus on ball and she puts up 25 points. Yeah, but she doesn't put up 25 every time. She had to put up 25 because, one, it was against Caitlin Clark. She alone is trying to say, hey, look at me. She's tired of people talking about Caitlin Clark like she's the reason. So Angel Reese is trying to take credit for things that, yes, she was in the national game a couple years ago, and that was a big deal. But she also is just, she as a forward down low or a center, that's just not going to be, I mean, even in the NBA, you get a couple of guys that played in the center position. You know, Shaq and a few others. But most of the talk are guards and forwards, right? So Caitlin Clark's a guard, so she's going to get more, have the ball more and all that kind of stuff. Angel Reese she does need to focus on balling. She needs to stop trying to tell everybody that she's the reason that they're watching sports too and just show them. That 25 she dropped, she needed to though. Because let me be clear. Angel Reese, I don't know why she feels this way. I think she acts like she needs Caitlin Clark. I don't think she could just ball out. So they played 3 times. Indiana Fever's up 2. All right. Woo, JFK. Is that Ric Flair? Woo, JFK. You know, that's the album. The album. Hey, T-Dog. It's tough. Let me tell you why. Real quick, because you listen to a lot of my music. You've heard a lot of my albums. Let me tell you where this album, JFK album, will be totally different from what you heard from Kirk Kennedy. Is my albums, as you know, are very thematic. You know, serial killers smiling pictures, right? I did a whole album devoted to understanding the fascination with violence in America that's seen largely through the support of serial killers. That whole album. My albums are thematic, and so I take like Kendrick. I kind of patterned after him, where you take a theme and every song in some way, shape, or form is connected to that theme. Well, this album is not like that. This is my buddy JP is an R&B kind of singer. This would be more akin to like, I don't know in the Christian world who's done this a lot well, but this would be more akin to like Jay-Z and R. Kelly, best of both worlds. Like you're going to like this album, bro, because it's a different me. I'm able to spit and do some things that I don't do as Kirk Kennedy that you're used to. So that's going to happen. All right, Dre, Asia 100%. Asia Wilson is, woof. She's averaging like 28 a game. I'm talking about she got the best. Asia Wilson, man, listen. Y'all better watch the Las Vegas. She got the best. She got the Kobe and Jordan back to the basket, turnaround fadeaway. Lefty too. Whack, whack. I mean, Asia Wilson is crazy. Did Josh Francis? Nah, Josh Francis is my dude. That's my man. My guy JP sounds a little bit like Josh. My engineer thought it was Josh Francis. It was just hard for us to connect. My buddy Josh lives in San Diego, so I'm going to see him I'll be in San Diego and LA from July 15th to the 20th. So I'll be down there then. I'll hang out with him. But it was just hard to do it. It was hard to work on it. And I had so many other things going. It's just easy because my guy, we go to the same church. It just worked. His name happened to be Jonathan. The JFK was ready to stay. All right. Let's go, making it to the line. That's right. Good to see you, bro. She need that trade. I'm telling you, man, if dribble, drive, pass, man, let me tell you something. That if she just needs a handle, bro. I'm telling you. 100%. Caitlin Clark is just predictable. That's why they've been able to deer. They know, like, oh, Caitlin Clark wants to go left and shoot the three. So you know if she's going left, force her right. If she goes right, she's going to pass. It's just obvious. It's obvious. It's just too much. Study Kyrie and Shanghai. She want to develop a handle. I don't think so. Yes, she could, but she should study Steph Curry because she plays like him. She shoots like him. That's why they call her the female Steph Curry. That's what everyone's watching her for. That's why she broke all the scoring records in college. She knows how to score by threes. She needs to watch a person. She doesn't just need to handle the dribble. I mean, Kyrie is a streaky three-point shooter. He's largely cross you up and go to the hole on you, all that type of stuff. She needs to study Steph Curry because his handle is tough and he shoots like her. She needs to know, how do I cross over and then come off of that dribble and pull up? She's not going to get that from Kyrie. She might get better moves, but she needs to study. She needs to study Steph. I'm telling you, that'll change her life. To be honest, that will happen. People forget that her draft class hasn't had a full offseason like their NBA. 100%, bro. 100%. As soon as they finish college, they're drafting. They say, yeah, 100%. I'm with that, Daryl. Like, that's what happens. So she gets to the championship game, right? I think within 11 days, she's at the WNBA being the first pick. And then within a couple days after that, they're on the road. They start playing. She had the toughest schedule, right? They still have played more games than most teams. I think teams are catching up now. But she had the toughest schedule. I mean, they just did because I think they expected she's going to be a phenom. They probably thought she was going to be able, you know how you think in basketball, unlike football, because it requires so many different people, like you can be the best, like you can be a crazy player, quarterback, but if your defense is terrible, they're not going to stop the other team from scoring. You're going to lose games. Basketball is one of those sports where one person can, in some senses, change the game in the season. I think they thought that was going to happen. They didn't realize, when Diana Taurasi said, it's going to be different. I think they thought she was just hating, and on some level I think she was, but at many levels she was just being like, it's different. The skill level is different here. These women are women. They're not girls that don't know how to play ball. This is different. Facts, Hawaii's even worse. Yes, Hawaii, man. I wouldn't want to go there, but I'm looking forward to going to Cali because I want my boys to have a great time. We've had a tough year. 2023 is a very difficult year for my family. So I'm looking forward to them, but California is rough, bro. California, it's just expensive. And it's not like we're going to go there and just like, okay, let's go grocery shopping and just eat. We're traveling a little bit. I want my boys to experience it. So it's a lot. It's a lot to do. So if anyone has it in their heart, somebody sent me, hey, thank you. Somebody sent me on Venmo some thank you. If anyone has it in their heart, we'll take it. My boys would love it. All right. No, he was just killed, but he was making diss songs mocking his. Oh, okay, nah. I'm not. Oh, he's probably from Chicago because they do that in Chicago. They do that type of stuff. A loaf of fresh bread and a pound of roast beef from Safeway can feed you off for $25. Yeah, that's true, but we ain't gonna always be sitting around. We gonna be traveling, so we ain't gonna be taking no roast beef with us, So we're gonna be traveling quite a bit too. We're not staying just in San Francisco, so that's gonna be kind of impossible. Because we ain't gonna go grocery shopping every place we go. We just going to take it to the chin. But yeah, it is expensive. By the way, that rapper he's a hot mess. I was in Florida. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, it's really sad to me, and I think, I always say this, and people on the left used to get really mad at me, and I thought it was always funny because as a former street dude, I alone had the credibility to make these kinds of statements about black culture in the hood, in the streets. And people would get offended as if like I'm somehow influenced by white evangelicals or something. It was like, yeah, I'm influenced by me, by my experience, by the Bible, by scripture, and by having lived through these street things. I was facing 43 years in prison for a broad day shootout. I shot at these dudes. It was real. It was on them type terms. I was really in the streets. I got locked up. The Lord was merciful, and a lot of that time got suspended and all of that. But it was real. I was out there. And you know what's interesting is when I think about because I think about the world, people, in terms of we do not wrestle with flesh and blood. I think in terms of the schemes of the devil. You know, one of the most well-worn schemes of the devil in the black community is this idea that aggressive nature, arrogance, anger, murder, all these things are intrinsic to what it means to be black. It's really fascinating. I remember even as a kid, if you got good grades as a kid, they made fun of you. I remember kids getting their books knocked down because because it was almost like you got to be stupid. You got to be ignorant. You got to be a street dude. You got to be a girl who's now they call it for the streets, but just having sex, doing all these things in order to be black. Like somehow black went from let's get education and prove that we are equipped and able to do it. It went from that to, and I think it was, let me tell you what I think happened. This is totally off the topic, but I just want to bring this up because it is what it is. You know me, once you say something, I get on a train and then I chew it, we gone, right? There was a transition and it had nothing to do with leftist policies. I hate when Candace Owens and the conservative and all them make it seem like black people, once welfare came in, black men were like, oh, okay, cool. I don't love my kids. I don't love them. So I can just dip. So now that you got money, or they were like, you can't have him here, these men here, or else. It's way more complicated than that, right? So let me make this case. Here's one thing that none of them ever talk about. Martin Luther King, whether you liked him or not, was the most influential black leader of the day. Not Malcolm X, not Marcus Garvey, not Huey Newton, not none of these people they were popular. Not Stokely Carmichael. They were all known, but Martin Luther King was the most influential. Civil rights legislation started in 1964, right? The Civil Rights Act. Then you had the Voting Rights Act, I think, in 65. You had the Fair Housing Act, I think, in 67. Something like that, right? It just kept going. It kept building. It wasn't like one thing. It kept building. When Martin Luther King was assassinated in 1968, you know what no one talks about? No one talks about the psychological damage that his death did on the black community. No one talks about that. They always talk about like black people just got left, like we were just sitting around waiting for government cheese and government bread, and then once they got it, that's all we cared about. No. When he was assassinated, there was a black cloud, pun intended, over many in the black community. And here's why. Even Stokely Carmichael said this. He said, and he didn't even agree with Martin Luther King a lot. He said Martin Luther King was the best of us. They killed the best. You killed the man who was preaching nonviolence. It would make sense if you killed Malcolm X, because he had hundreds of dudes at police station, Nation of Islam. Like what is what the Black Panthers were having shootouts with police. You know, Martin Luther King was peaceful. When you killed him for just standing up peace, didn't threaten or cause any violence to anyone, it took the hope. At that time, the civil rights stuff was just coming in. No one knew what was going to happen. It took a lot of hope. If you ask black people who were alive then and who remember, hey, how was it in the black community? How did you feel when he was assassinated? It was traumatic. It was traumatic. My mom told me this story. My mom was in high school. It happened on her birthday, on April 4th. My mom's birthday happened in 1968. She was in high school. She said when he got assassinated and word got out, she said in her school, white people were terrified and black people were enraged. Now you can say, well, why were they enraged? Because they lost hope. When you lose hope, all the other things come in to play, right? There was a loss of hope. There was a psychological impact on the black community that you would kill that man who's nonviolent. We have no confidence then. There was no confidence in the government. Then you get COINTELPRO, which I talked about on my last video, with the FBI. There was no confidence. You can say whatever you want about civil rights legislation or Lyndon Johnson policies. You can say whatever you want about the Great Society of Lyndon Johnson. those policies weren't even exclusively black, if you want to keep it a thou wow. They talk about affirmative action wasn't about black people. It was about women, handicap, sexuality. That wasn't an exclusive law for black people. In fact, me and a buddy of mine were talking about this. He's a lawyer, real sharp dude. I said one day, hey, bro, how much of the civil rights legislation was exclusively for black people? And he thought about it. He said, brother, I'm not sure there were many laws that were exclusively. He said maybe there were some state laws that maybe, but federal, it wasn't. So it's funny to me when people talk about all this stuff. But my point is saying this. When he was assassinated, the hope of a whole community also left with it. And that contributed to the state of, when you don't have hope, you take it out on people closest to you. So you live in communities. Then you have what happens right after that is you have this series of movies called blaxploitation films. Some of them are really cool, like Uptown Saturday Night, Cooley High. You get those kind of movies, but you also had movies like The Mac, right? Black Caesar, right? You had these movies where it was from the black perspective and in the neighborhoods, and in those movies, the black people were the heroes and the police and the white people were the crackers and they were the bad guys for once. Because black people, since 1917's Birth of a Nation, that movie painted black people out to be the worst species. That movie, Birth of a Nation, the 1917 version, that I think it was Woodrow Wilson said it was one of the greatest movies of all time, is I think number 6 in the cinematic unit. I forgot its number. It's rated really high. That Birth of a Nation was used by the Ku Klux Klan to recruit them up into the 70s. That movie came out in, I think, 1970, somewhere around there. Listen to the appendix if you want to find out about it, right? So finally you get some movies where black people aren't yes, oh man, like Miss Mabel and all them, right? They got tired of that, right? You had Sidney Poitier was one of the first black actors that kind of was a dark-skinned black dude that wasn't like Sambo in it, right? So now you get this group of movies called blaxploitation films, and the black people are the heroes, but many of them were pimps, drug dealers, hustlers, right? So what happened is they were anti-law, though, and at that time, many black people were anti-law. They were anti-law. So what you get is, you get black people cheering the heroes in the movies because they look like them and they talk like them, right? You get that, but then in that transition to real life. So now your heroes are the pimps, the drug dealers, the hustlers, because they're anti-law and the law doesn't like black people. We've known that. That's what people have been conditioned to believe, and that has been demonstrated. And so now the heroes in the movies become the heroes in real life. So now the pimps of your neighborhood, the hustlers, you don't want to snitch on them. That's what don't snitch comes from. Don't snitch doesn't mean, hey, we're not doing nothing wrong. It means don't sell us out to the white man, to whitey or whatever, because there's a psychological damage on the black community, back then at least, that still plays its way in some of these inner city communities. It's not just the leftist policies. I'm not saying that they didn't cause any impact, sure, but to reduce it to that and to totally dismiss the impact of Martin Luther King and his death and how it took a lot of hope from black people, coupled with false arrests and different things by COINTELPRO. You don't pee on me and tell me it's raining by telling me that the civil rights, systemic racism, and the civil rights legislation. That's a political statement. That's not a factual statement. It was way more than, there may have been consequences given through the law. But anyway, I'm saying all that to say, what the devil did was he used the sin against black people to justify this mindset that you cannot trust these people and that you're better served by trusting these people who are destroying your communities. So from the blaxploitation films, guess what comes out of that? Rap music. And so rap music had this weird beginning where half of it was fun. I say hip, hop, a hippie, hip, hip, hop. You don't stop the rocker to the bang, bang, boogie, the up. You had that rap which is all about fun, but then you had broken glass everywhere. People pissing on the corner. No, they just don't care. My son said, Daddy, I don't want to go to school because the teacher's a jerk. She must think I'm a fool. And all the kids smoke reefer. I think it'd be cheaper if I just got a job, learn to be a street sweeper. The bill collectors, they ring my phone. They scare my wife when I'm not home. So you get both sides of it. You get, let's have fun and forget our troubles. And you get Grandmaster Flash and them with the message, we're going to talk about our troubles. And at the end of that song, you get police running up on them and arresting them. That was very much a part of, so what the devil did was he took the fact that black people were sinned against, helped us justify not trusting the law, that doing things that are good for society was about being white. And then we ran with it, and through rap music, it became fundamental. So then you get into the 80s and the 90s, the mantra was keep it real. Keeping it real, packing still getting high, because life's something, and then you die. It was this mantra, keep it real and keep it real, man. And then you had Tupac come out and be like, look, you don't even got to be in the gang. I'm an army of one, thug life. It just, and the black kid, Satan did a great job. He's a master manipulator. He did a great job making black people feel like you need to be street and gangster because that's part of your anti-law heritage. And then we don't even snitch because we've made snitching something that actually some people need. We've made stuff like that like a no-no. The devil is crafty. The Bible is not lying. And so now in segments of the black population, not all, this idea of what it means to be black is criminal. And we got these people talking about, well, that's because of Lyndon Johnson's policies. You have no clue what you're talking about. Lyndon Johnson's policies were fluff. They give all this credit to Thomas Sowell. Oh, he's the one that tells the truth. Thomas Sowell wrote Black Rednecks and White whatever. And in his book, he's talking about black people inherited from the South, from the poor people in the South, these traits and habits, and then coupled with Lyndon Johnson's Great Society policies, paved the way for there to be this lack of respect for the culture, all these things. And all conservatives love Thomas Sowell. He's the Don Corleone. Here's the problem with Thomas Sowell's diagnosis. Here's part of the problem. So there were two great migrations in black history, two great migrations. And Thomas Sowell, Candace Sowell, all these people would say before Lyndon Johnson's policies, the black family was intact. They would say fathers were in the home, all of it. They attribute the majority of it to Lyndon Johnson's policies. Thomas Sowell will say, well, they inherited this behavior from these poor white rednecks from the South when they left and migrated. Here's the problem, though. If that's true, if that's why black people are the way they are, if that's all it was, then why would you say in the 40s and 50s that the black family was intact? How could they inherit the characteristics? How could they inherit the characteristics from these white rednecks that have anti-law, very sexual, ignorant, desire to be uneducated? How could they inherit that, but then it not bear fruit for 2 generations? It doesn't make sense. If that's who you are, that's who you are. But they would say the first migration and the second migration, and they all was in the Midwest, they would say that both of those were, the black family was intact. So Thomas Sowell, how could they have inherited that from the white South that you said in your book if it didn't demonstrate itself for 20, 30, 40 years later? This is why I don't take none of them folks seriously. I'm not saying they don't say some things that are true. I can be very critical of the black community. But don't pee on me and tell me it's raining, fam. Some of us actually do pay attention and look at things beyond just what political policies were put forth. There's a psychological, spiritual warfare that has created a lot of this. And so that's why I just think, man, don't play. This is why I don't even want to debate people, because people are too theoretical. They just think, oh, it's the greatest, it's the Democrats. Man, sure, if you say so. If you say so. I'm not saying the Democrats, I can't stand them. The ideology of I can't stand them. I think they've been shucking and jiving black people for so long. I've never voted Democrat in my life, and I never will. Never will. Cannot stand the ideology and what they've done and said, the promises. I get that. But don't tell me that's all it is, man. Don't play with me. We sharp around here too. We may not have your big platform, but we shop though. We may not have as many books as you, but we shop too. So like, nah. I'm sorry, I went way off. I don't know why I did that. I have no idea why I did that. Maybe because it's June and the sexual activists hijacked the civil rights movement and do a Juneteenth video. This was my Juneteenth video. Half white girl Caitlin, half black people. Oh man, I'm wilding. I'm saying too much. All right, I'm saying too much. I wonder if you'll do a video on tonight debate. Now I'm doing a video on something else. I got a video I'm doing in 2 hours, 2.5 hours on something totally different. Said my mom was in the riots when MLK. 100%, bro. 100%. Mom was in the riots. I remember you saying something similar in your book. Does God listen to rap? Yeah, I mentioned it some. I did. I do. But this is how Satan, he worked though. This schemes of the devil. He took the sins against the black community, let us justify not wanting to do anything that resembles the community of people because they set the laws, they set the standards. I remember in Motown, if you look back at old Motown, right? If you look back at old like Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, these dudes had their hair permed out, straightened out. You know, my mama told me, you better shop around, shop. Oh yeah, they was doing that, right? James Brown, everybody was permed out. But man, in like after Martin Luther King died though, check your history. After Martin Luther King died, you started seeing more like Afros. That's when you started getting like that Curtis Mayfield music. I'm your mama, I'm your daddy, I'm that in the alley, I'm the brother when you need, you know me, I'm your pusher. You started getting that music, that Curtis Mayfield. You started getting that black power, that black pride. You had James Brown, say it loud, I'm black and I'm. You had all that, right? You was getting all this, the music started changing. You started getting that funk. People got tired. That Motown was more for the white folks. That was Berry Gordy and them trying to make money. Diana Ross and all them acting like. Now you started seeing black people getting cornrows. Black people wearing dashikis. It changed after Martin Luther King died. It changed. People started getting fed up. All of it, right? So man, listen. I could go on for years about this stuff. Maybe I don't know. This isn't even a video most people probably want to talk about because this is yeah. A couple more comments. It says Cray does a brief commentary on psychological damage to black. I think so. Yeah, I think that doesn't get credit. We you know what's interesting. So when you think about the Holocaust, what was amazing about the Holocaust is that when they were rescued, they were taken out of their prison camps, and they were allowed to go to different places. Many of them migrated to the U.S., right? And then there was a war tribunal, right? There was a world tribunal where they went after 20 of Hitler's top lieutenants. They found, I think it was either 22 or when they found 20 of when they found 18 of Hitler's top lieutenants around the world. And there was a world tribunal in 1940, I want to say 5 or 6. I can't remember when it was. I might be off on the year. And there were 5 nations that were on that tribunal, and America was one, which is such a mockery because you were prohibiting black people from being allowed to have basic civil rights. But now you're on this war tribunal telling the Germans that what they did to the Jews was wrong. And in America, you were doing it to black people. It's fascinating to me, right? But they took the Jews out of Auschwitz and they basically gave reparations to the Jews for those 6 years, which was terrible. What happened to the Jews was terrible. They basically gave reparations. As a matter of fact, I can show you, at least up into 2017, I could show you an article where that they still are giving billions of dollars. And the U.S. is brokering. They're the ones managing it and dispersing money to families who were even connected or had family members that were in the Holocaust. May not have even been alive then. They're getting billions of dollars from France, Poland, and Germany, and the U.S. is the one giving those monies out to people, right? They had that happen. You know what black people got? Black people didn't get taken out of their Auschwitz. Black people had to build schools, shopping centers, libraries, and homes in their Auschwitz. They had to stay in those communities. And you think there's no psychological damage because you said, hey, we just passed a law, things have changed now. Man's heart didn't change by God's laws in the Old Testament. Now, things have improved over time, sure, of course. But we're talking about during that time period, all right? and there are consequences. They're reverberating consequences to this day. That's why I think it's just complicated. It's more complicated than the leftist policies. There's trauma, and that's a buzzword today, right? But that goes beyond the moment. If someone criticizes you, and like someone hurt your feelings, right? Doesn't that go longer than the moment that it happened? Even if someone apologizes to you, doesn't it take you a while to get over certain things? I'm talking about weeks, months, years. I know people that have not spoken to like their siblings in years because of an argument. Incredible. I know people that haven't talked to their parents or their parents to children in forever because of an argument. Like there are things that affect you that don't just go away because circumstances have changed. But yet when it comes to the black community, we conveniently act like you're woke when you express some of those effects still. It's just fascinating to me. It's fascinating. But anyway, I have no idea why I went into this. I'm going to stop talking because now my video is officially woke, right? Because you were bringing truth. Come on, yo. That's what I'm talking about, Rockmo. I mean, it's just truth, right? It's truth. It's just truth. That's all. Even if it's from my perspective. You can say I'm wrong, that's fine. But I can present facts, though. Present to me facts of why I'm wrong. Show me the opposite. And don't give me no Daughters of the Confederacy literature. I'm not going for it. That boy can preach Coming to America. One of my favorite movies of all time. All right. I'm getting out of here. I'm back on here with a different topic, something else in a couple of hours. And I think 2.5 hours or something like that. I will see you guys then. Thanks for streaming. Caitlin Clark, get in. It'll change everything for you. See y'all in a couple hours.